yell at me and say, you have not been on for weeks. Yeah, I know. I've been quite busy, and the heat really got to me, so I wasn't doing a lot of videos and all because I have a heat problem. I can't cool off when the temperature goes up to like hundreds of degrees, and we were over 100 and we were in the 90s. So in that aspect, I just sort of held off on cooking and staying as quiet as possible. I wanted to turn the air conditioning on, but there wasn't enough energy because I think the governor or the mayor told Con Ed to cut back on the energy for us, so there was no way that I could run the air conditioner, so we only had the fans, and even they were losing energy. As it was spinning, it would go zoom, zoom, and then cut down. So it was quite hot in the house, and we were eating anything and everything that we could find in the house. Now, I found some lovely recipes, and I'm going to give you one live today, which I can't have. I'll never be able to have it. It's a cookbook that has coffees, different kinds of coffees in it. It's a little book, but the whole book is nothing but coffees. But anyway, let me tell you some of the things I would like to make if I can find everything. It seems nobody's on right now, but that's all right. You can see the video later. All right, I want to make skillet stuffed bell peppers. I think this would be interesting, and instead of using ground meat, we're going to be using sausage in it. And so that's going to be different in that area. So I like the idea that we're going to try it, and we're going to use different bell peppers to give it a different color. So we'll have probably orange, red, yellow, and green. But that is a recipe I am praying that I can make. Now, I have some duck in the freezer, which I always do. I'm always telling everybody about it. And I want to see if I can sit there and make duck sandwiches. Now, I don't like some of the ingredients in this one, but I would like to try to make duck sandwiches, which I think would be nice because it's been really, really hot. Boy, nobody's on it this time because everybody's out probably at the beach, but that's okay. I can't go to the beach either because that's extremely hot. Hi there. Hi. Okay, and this one, I found two recipes I really wanted to make. This one is called stuffed escarole. So that's going to be different. And my son says, which one am I going to make? And I said, well, we're going to find out. And I like this one that says beans and sausages with polenta, which would be a nice thing to have. Okay, these are just a few of the recipes that I've been thinking about, getting a shopping list together, and also seeing what I have in the house. Okay, now this is given to you freely because I cannot, I cannot have coffee at all, but I've got a little coffee cookbook, and it's loaded with, each page has a different coffee on it. So I'm going to give you some different coffees that if you can have coffee, then you can make it because I can't have it. This is called Cafe Borgia. Now, the Borgias were a powerful family who used poison masked in coffee and orange to get rid of their enemies. What a lovely way to go. Somebody offers you a cup of coffee and kills you. All right, here's how you make it. Isn't it amazing the things we learn about history as we read these things? All right, you're going to need 1 cup of a double strength hot coffee, okay? I am allergic to the caffeine. The caffeine in coffee causes my heart to race over 200, and that's the bottom number. So you can imagine what the top number is. So I have to stay away from coffees and teas and sodas. Okay, now let's get back to the recipe. 1 cup of double strength hot coffee. Then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of Mexican chocolate powder. Stir it till it's dissolved, okay? Then you're going to add a small amount of whipped cream. And then you add, you just garnish it with an orange rind, and that's it. I'll show you what the picture looks like. That is the picture of what it should look like when you're finished with it. Hi. So that is given to you freely. I hope you try it. Let me know what you think of it because I can't have it. And I've got hundreds of recipes of coffee in here. But that one I opened up and I said, whichever page this opens up, that's the one I'm going to give you guys. So do try it and do let me know because I have no idea. Okay? But that's some of the things that I've been thinking about. The reason you didn't see me a lot these last couple of weeks, it's been really hot. And on top of that, the light went over the sink. The fan went in the kitchen. I have a ceiling fan. My dryer went. I had to wash clothes. I had a mess that I had to deal with. Then the tiles in the tub had to be redone. Listen, it was just one thing after another. I could not get a break to get on to say, hi, gang. How is everybody doing? So now I'm going to ask, how is everybody doing? I would love to hear that you're doing well. I hope the weather is pleasant where you're at. We're still in the 90s here, and it's only June. August is supposed to have these hot days. So I don't know. If August comes up, it might be in the hundreds. And that will be quite hot. But if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. I would love to know how you're doing as well. So I'm going to get quiet and let one of you talk. Okay. So we'll wait if you have a question or anything. So that's why you haven't seen me. Top fans, what is that? That's a crown. Gabriela Martinez, you have a crown number 2. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. I have no idea. And Sharif, you have crown number 1. I don't know what any of those mean. You'd have to explain them to me because I really just don't know. Now, I can only stay on to a certain hour, then I have to go because I'm going to be outside taking care of the trash. Nothing major happening in my life, but I feel so much happier compared to the last few years. That's how I feel, that I made it to 72. I mean, I am so happy about making it because I didn't think I was going to make it at one point in my life. I was at a very dark point in my life. Yeah, I had a really good day. Thank you. Would somebody explain what these crowns are? I see crown 1, crown number 2, crown number 3. I don't know what the crowns mean. I'm sorry. I'm a little ignorant on some of this. But I am doing well, and I'm glad that you're feeling better about life. You have ups and downs in life. You sort of have to write them out. When you're going through a bad time, understand that it's something that you have to learn, and you take that lesson, whatever your lesson is that you have to learn, and you move forward. Don't forget the lesson because you don't want to go back through it again. That's okay, Alex. Where are you from, Alex? Had a good day, but it's quiet. Oh, thank you. Grow a garden. The best. Really the best. That is your title. That's a long one. Watch the most and comment the most. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, anyway, that's life and how it is. But I didn't know if any of you had any questions or if there was something that you wanted to know. I'm just sort of, I know I've been neglectful. You should be scolding me through this whole thing. Oh, I have a friend in India. I bet you my friend Vamil would. Yeah, grow a garden, the best, really the best, is really a long one. I had to keep mine simple. I couldn't even figure out to give myself one. And I asked my husband, what should I have for an email and for? And he said, make it simple. And I said, yeah, well, what should I write? So he told me. And that's where I got mine from. Roblox, I don't even know what it is. I have no idea what Roblox is. Hi, Sum. I see your picture is smiling. What kind of game it? A children's game? Oh, okay. I play, let's see, my son got me on Candy Crush. What else do I play? There's another two games that I play. Something about a king or something, and he has to beat his brother or his cousin or something. I play that once in a while, but not all the time. Hi, kill you, Manalti? Oh, well, I don't play a lot of games. God, I've got so much to do. It's very rare. Hello, Emily. Well, then don't play it some. I mean, our games were outside. If it was raining, we went into the garage and we sat there and played board games. I know you guys just pick up the phone and you have all the games at your fingertips. We had to go into our closet, pull out our game boards, and set it up. Oh, my son has to bail me out. I have one son who's really good at it, and I go, I'm stuck, and I've been on it 3 days. Would you please help me? So he comes and he gets me past that level, and I keep on going. I don't, I don't know. Yeah, well, I like it. That's right. Candyland, remember? And you had to go roll and that. Yeah, I remember Candyland. Monopoly, and I'm wicked at it. I will slaughter anybody. I think I'm at 100 and something because I did something, I lost the whole game, so I had to start all over again. But my favorite game is Monopoly, and I am murderous. My family won't even play with me. I am really bad. I will when I win, I jump. Yes! I do my little winning dance, and they look at me. And they say, that is wrong, Mommy. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm competitive in Monopoly. Now, my mother taught me to play a game it was two decks of cards. And I remember that you lay them down, lay them down, lay them down, and then you could pick them up if you did something, but you had to lay out other games. And I don't remember the game, but it was a game that I really enjoyed playing. I don't know if I'll try that game. Oh, okay. Tetris. Isn't that robots? If I remember something like Transformers. I'll have to wait until you come back and tell me that one. Killamanati 777. Thank goodness you didn't put 666. But Monopoly, that was the board game that we would play. And it would keep us busy, especially on a rainy day. My mother could throw us out in the garage. We'd play that game for hours so she wouldn't have to worry about us. Block stacking game, okay. Uno. Battleship is another good game. Yeah, I like that too. Hi, from America. Thank you. It's sticking out right now. It's been a long day. And it was hot this afternoon, so I put my hair up. Battleship is a good game. As a board game, yes, but I heard they do it on a computer or something. But we used to play that. Now, Connect 4, one of my friends loved to play Connect 4, and I said, don't do that with me because numbers are my game. Math is my thing. I love math. Grayson, hi, how are you? We're talking about everybody's favorite game. Does anybody else have a favorite game they like? Grayson, I am doing quite well. I'm getting better over the heat spell that we've had, but I'm just worried we're going to get back in those temperatures again. That's why I wasn't on, the videos weren't running. It was just too hot. Fortnite? Now that sounds like a game my older son would like. Is that a war game? I'm going to make fun of you, Grayson. First, I'm going to say I came from my parents. And checkers, my grandfather beat me in checkers. Now, I'm in America, in the state of New York. I'm on the outer skirts. I mean, literally the outer skirts of the metropolitan area. Okay? Oh, I pull my hair out on those. If I have to look for something, I can't even remember half the stuff I put around the house, and then I see it, oh God. Grow garden, no AC. Yes, we have AC, but what happened is the governor or the mayor told Con Ed to cut back on the electricity on these hot days. And when they did that, the air conditioner was just pushing hot air through. We couldn't get the cold air through. So I had to turn the air conditioners off, or we were going to be in a 100-degree house, and I turned the fans on. But even the fans were having trouble continuing. They would start to spin, and then all of a sudden go roar and die down and then start up again. That was because Con Ed was told that Staten Island, they were to cut the energy from Staten Island, and because I'm on Staten Island, that's what happened from South Africa. Hi, Eric. So that's what happened, and that's why there was no AC. So I can't really run it. No, they tell Con Ed to cut back on it, because if they don't cut back on the electricity, we'll have a blackout. That means there's no electricity for anybody. So if they ask us to cut back, so I cut back on it, because it didn't make sense with the air conditioning and trying to pull the energy, and then everybody does it, and then we end up with a blackout. That's why I didn't sit there and use the air conditioners, because there wasn't enough energy, and I knew if I did it, I could cause a chain reaction like everyone else. So I said, I'll just use the fans. Oh, I love spring and summer, Alex. That is my, not summer, spring and autumn. I love those two seasons. Hi, Janelle. Never heard of it. Emily, never. That's what they say. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a little old person, and they're not going to listen to a 72-year-old like I have nothing important to say. But I do, because I've lived 72 years, and I've already seen the crap you did then, and what you're doing now, and everything you did in between. Spoons? No, I've never heard of it. Oh, my mother got air conditioning for me. And this is a real story that really happened. My father, remember when I was growing up, air conditioning was not really important, okay? Only businesses had air conditioning, like the Singer stores, Sears, the movie theater, the diner, stores like that. But private homes didn't have air conditioning when I was growing up. Well, my father was in the store, so he had air conditioning all day long. My mother was in the kitchen cooking with no air conditioning, no fans either. My father was a penny pincher. So I broke out. And what was really bad is I broke out with these pus pockets about this big in my head, in my hair, and wherever my body bent, I would end up with pus pockets, and they were being drained every night. I mean, they were the size of quarter to a half a dollar, if you know what a half a dollar size is. And it stank, it smelled, it scabs and everything. My mother went to the doctor, took me to the doctor. She finally couldn't take it anymore, and he gave medicine, and she continued doing it. It wasn't working still. So he finally looked at me, and he said, you know what's wrong with your daughter? She is allergic to the heat. I'm allergic to the sun and the heat. He said, you have to get air conditioners, and this will clear up. Well, the argument, my mother walked out of that doctor's office singing, yay! She was happy. She was having a ball. Well, I'm going to get air conditioning now because of you, young lady. I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't understand. Well, Texas didn't have any air conditioners down there. After my father hit the roof, yelled at me because I had a medical issue with heat, which wasn't my problem. If my mother ate right in my pregnancy and carrying me, I would not have the problem. Well, anyway, we ended up with the air conditioners, but they had to come from up north in New York. So my mother had them shipped, and we had to wait for them to come in. It took 2 months because the train only came in anybody living in Beaver will know this during this time. The train only came in once every 6 weeks. And these big men came with these 2 big air conditioners. They had to support the wall, put a frame around, and then they put them in, and they had to put special wiring. We needed 220 wiring special for them. Remember, this is early on. We're not talking like what you have today. You plug it in and easy to do. They had to really support these because these were heavy, and it took 2 to 3 big men to get them into the windows. She put one in her bedroom and one in the living room. And my mother, well, once the air conditioners came in and the house got cool, the pus pockets and drainage and stuff all disappeared on me. I didn't have any more problems. Then go to the beach. Let's all go to the beach. Well, that was the worst thing they could have done. I came back with the same problem. And they realized, the doctor said, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., Sandy cannot go outside. She has to stay inside the house. So that was my afternoons. I could do everything, but I had to stay inside the house, unless it was winter. But as soon as it hit summer and we started hitting those 90-degree days, I had to stay inside the house because those were the hottest days of the week. My mother set that air conditioner at 62. Man, I felt like I needed winter clothes. Oh, yeah, she was so happy with me. Man, she danced, she hummed, she cooked, she did everything. She was one happy camper. So I have trouble with the heat to this day, so I have to be really, really careful. So when it gets really hot, you might not see me, but that's not because I don't want to cook. It's just that it's so hot, and because they keep telling Con Ed to cut Staten Island's energy, I can't run the air conditioners, but I can sit there and have the fans going. So if you don't see me on those really hot days, that's it. But my mother loved me. She figured when I got older, like a teenager, she'd teach me how to, my mother loves to bake, but she doesn't like to clean the oven. And Daddy wouldn't get her a self-cleaning oven. He said, this one works, use it. Okay, so Sandy got of age. My mother proceeded to show me how to clean the oven. And we had, what is it called? Oven off? What is it called? Oh, I can't remember. It used to come in a jar. Stressed. Oh, thanks a lot. Hi, to Jess. Hi. No, I like her air conditioning stress disorder. And then what happened was my mother thought that she could get out of cleaning the oven and Sandy will clean the oven. Well, she found out I was allergic to the cleanser, and it was the only one. Easy Off, that's what it was. Easy Off was very hard, and it ate my skin up, and I blistered and all. The doctor said she can't, so my mother had to figure out, and my mother danced around my father. She knew how to play people. And I said, Mommy, this is wrong. And she said, be quiet, Sandy. I said, okay, I'm not going to say anything. And she got the guy, because the stove had to be rewired, and my father was at work. So my mother said, can we talk? And he said, sure, what do you want to talk? And she said, look, I want a self-cleaning oven, because my mother hates to clean the oven, and I can't clean it because I'm allergic to it, to the cleansers. She sat him down. She put a fifth out. I don't know what it was, but it was a fifth of something she said at the table. And she proceeded to talk and keep on pouring him drinks. He was getting drunker by the minute. And she said, I want you to tell my husband that the stove and oven, the whole, what we just called it a stove, cannot be fixed and it has to be replaced. And he said, but it, and she said, and she poured him some more. Like I said, I'd like to get a new stove, and I need you to tell him that it cannot be repaired. You understand what I'm saying? And then she slipped him a couple of hundreds. Now you're talking in the early 60s. So this is good money. You know, today you probably have to, slip him $5,000. but a couple of hundred did the job. And he went to my father, and my father said, well, can you fix the stove? And he said, no, it has to be replaced. Well, my mother was in heaven. She got a 2-oven, self-clean electric stove. They had to rewire the house to put it in. My father was angry, but there was nothing he could do. My mother says, stoves break and you have to replace them. Oh, she was on cloud 9. Well, then came the refrigerator. My mother worked through all of these together. Okay. Hi, Anas Khan. What happened next was she was to defrost the refrigerators in the 50s. Yeah, she was good at it. She knew how to play them in. What she did was the refrigerators we had a freezer on top. And you had a little section for the ice tray. And every couple of weeks you had like this much ice in the freezer because it would freeze, but it never self-defrosted. My mother was sitting there all day with the vacuum cleaner blowing hot air into it because she had the air conditioners on. She didn't have the heat from outside, so she kept the house cold, so she had to turn on the vacuum cleaner through the other end to push out the hot air. Oh, thank you for joining and subscribing. So then what happened was she was there all day. She got really mad, really, really angry. She called that guy back. And he came and he said, what do you want? She said, I want this. She slips another 200. India, okay. So she slipped him a couple of hundreds and he had a couple of fifths. He was getting drunk. And he called my father up and said, I cannot fix. He actually pulled something in the back to where the refrigerator didn't work anymore. My mother was really good at this. Well, anyway, my father had to buy a new refrigerator. My mother, she had to order everything from up north because in the south they didn't have the things that she wanted. Hi, Currency Hustle. And so what happened was she ordered her refrigerator. She had a 2-door self-defrosting freezer, and she was happy as a lark. Now, she had no dishwasher. James and I were in school, and Gino was in school. These are my brothers. I was the middle one. I have an older brother and younger brother. And she had to do dishes. My mother didn't like doing dishes. Thank you. And what happened was, breakfast, what did I have this? Oh, I had, believe it or not, I wanted blueberries and a glass of milk this morning. That's what I had for blueberries. I love blueberries and I love milk, so I'm going to. So what she did was she told James he had to do the dishes. He got tired of doing dishes. Mother's Day was coming up and he was working, he was making money, so he decided he was going to buy Mom a dishwasher. Yeah, she did, Emily. It's how, you should have seen my father screaming. Now, you have to realize at 802 East Anderson, when you're walking up the sidewalk and the driveway, between them, when you get closer to the house, you see 3 windows, 2 or 3 windows. So that's the front of the house. And we have not siding, not brick. What do you call it? Shingles. Yeah, she did. We're going to home. Okay. So what happened was James brought it to her and it had to be installed. He bought it for her. She was happy as a lark. She had her stove, the air conditioner, her refrigerator, and her son got her a dishwasher. Oh, you should be asleep, young man. So what happened was they said they were going to have to do plumbing and wiring, and we're going to move all the cabinets underneath one of the windows, which was next to the sink. But the only way they could get to it was go through the front of the house. So they would have to take those shingles off. My father came home for lunch. Can I get a gum job? I don't know what you're talking about. And what happened was there was a big hole in front of his house. And all what he saw was, he saw plumbers, he saw electricians, and he saw construction workers. My father came into the house. My mother had his lunch ready. He ate it, and he was screaming. And we heard him. He said, "I want to talk to you." In the bedroom. So they went to the bedroom to go talk. And I heard my father. He was mad. He said, "They never put those tiles, those shingles back on the house in the front. This house is going to look like," well, what he said I can't say here. Okay? And he was mad. And my mother said, "Don't worry about it. I want my dishwasher. My son bought it for me." I don't care. I don't want the house to look like, well, you can imagine what he said. Okay, so we'll just say that he was pretty mad. When my father went out there, after my mother told him to compose himself, like I told you, she was a tyrant. She'd punch the cop if he said something to her. She was a tyrant of a woman. And he went outside and said, "I hope the front of the house is going to look nice when you're done." And they said, "Sure, we'll fix it. It'll look really good. Don't worry about it." And wait a minute. Oh, listen, what he put my mother through, I'm surprised. They both put each other stressed out. And when he came back home, the dishwasher was in. The front looked like it had never been touched or anything else. And my father was happy. So my mother got everything that she wanted. I'm not going to change, Moon. I'm an old-fashioned cook, and I just love doing what I do. So that was what went on with those. And she got them all done, I think, in a 3-year period. She really was very, very good about that. She knew what she wanted. And don't cross her. Oh, no. If you crossed her, you were in trouble. And I said, boy, the police officers ever came by and didn't do what she said, I know she'd punch him out. My brothers and I thought this because she was that kind of woman. Okay, Annis. And that was how she got her kitchen done. Yeah, the kitchen that I almost burnt down. Yeah. Yeah, she did. She got what she wanted. I mean, my father and her would have an argument. Now, you have to realize, we're talking 50s. The war in Vietnam and World War II were over. Vietnam was just sort of getting started and stuff. And remember, the Italians were standing with Germany for a while. And my mother was the Italian. And so every time my father and her had an argument, she'd start speaking to him in Italian, and he'd yell at her and slam her against the wall and tell her to quit doing that. And then she'd come back and punch him. I tell you, prayed, the cop never pulled her over for a ticket. My mother was like that. Mr. Khan? Okay. Thank you, Emily. And these are some of the things that went on in the house. And my parents really had a boxing match. They would go to the back of the Singer store. And one time, I had finished something, and my mother told me to come to the store, and she would give me the money to go see the movies with my girlfriend, Debbie. Well, I went back there. My mother had punched my father. And the only thing I kept on telling myself was, I'm not going to be a wife like that. I am not going to be that. No. The more I saw her, the more I said, no, I'm not going to be like her. I'm going to be different. But that was the household, and my mother got what she wanted. She painted the whole house, turquoise walls, white ceiling, and white woodwork. Why did she like turquoise so much? But she made my room gray and white. I didn't want gray and white, but I got gray and white. I couldn't argue with it. Oh, listen, when my mother wanted a vacation, she said my father was driving her crazy. She'd lock herself into an institution for 2 weeks. And when she was gone, my father would turn the air conditioning off. He'd turn the television off. He'd turn everything off to make sure that the bills were as low as he could. Yeah, I got the gray room. I don't get along with my family. I got along with my husband's family better. My mother and I had a very, very bad argument. God, when I think about it, yeah. I almost bit her finger off because she taught me, don't you ever raise your hand to me. Don't you ever sass me. This is what she told all of us. And don't you ever talk back. We were very, very careful. We were raised in a very strict house. My mother was ironclad about that. And I finally had it out with her. I didn't say anything. She just stuck her finger in my face one too many times, and I did not let go. I almost bit her whole finger off. I was so mad. Both my parents are dead now, but I never talked to them when I left home. I never talked to them again. My younger brother has just gotten in touch with me after 50 some odd years. And my older brother, he writes me like happy birthday, Merry Christmas, but we don't talk either. So there's not a lot of love loss in that aspect. Now, on my husband's side, his family loved me and I loved them. Oh my God, his mother, she was a tyrant, but she was such a gem. I've thought about some, let's see, I don't know, my son or I am going to try to make a duck sandwich. I don't like the way this guy put it together. I'm going to put it together the way I want to put it together. And what am I making here? These are some of the cookbooks. We want to have skillet stuffed peppers, which will be interesting. And we're going to try making 2 Italian dishes. One is beans and sausage with polenta, and the other one is stuffed escargot. Now, I'm planning to cook because they say the temperatures are going to be in the 80s. Now, I know, why do I feel in here it's not going to work? I don't know how to make Indian chicken curry. My girlfriend says it's not the way the West Indians make, and the only way I know how to make it is the West Indian way. Oh God, I loved his great aunts. They even lived with us, and she and I were so much a pea as 2 peas in a pod. We argued every day. Every time my husband came home to eat, there was no dinner. She was in one bedroom and I was in the other. When she died, I cried the most. I really missed her. And they said, but his family, Aunt Ty was wonderful. She'd go, Tony, Tony. And Aunt Lottie said, Tony never loved me. I wasn't his favorite. Because he'd always say, I want to see my Aunt Ty, I want to see my Aunt Ty. And she was heartbroken, and she told me that. And I confronted my husband. I said, do you know, Lottie, though she's living with us, she told me you don't love her. You'll have to give me the recipe for that, Mr. Kong, because I have no idea. Okay, so I confronted him and I said, she doesn't think you love her, Tony. You're caring for her and everything, and she doesn't think you love her because you always said, I want my Aunt Ty, I want my Aunt Millie, but you never wanted Aunt Lottie. So he went into the room and spoke to her and said, Aunt Lottie, I love you very much. She died shortly after that, but she died knowing that her great-nephew loved her very, very much. And his daddy and him, oh God, they had a fight. It took me forever to get Grandpa and him talking. Daddy and I used to say Daddy, and the children, as they learned to speak, they were calling Grandpa Daddy. So I said no, so I had to go around calling him Grandpa. So don't think I'm making a mistake there. And I talked with him. I said, look, you and your father is hard-headed. You're both the same zodiac sign, Aries. You're just a couple of days off from each other. Look, you've got to bend. They finally started talking, and I was so happy that they got back together. And then he passed as well. But all his family, I cried over every last one because they were great. Even his little brother, who was mentally disabled, he sat there and said, Sandy, if anything happens to Tony, will you take care of me? And I said, I'm going to try. Can you please shout out Trump for his amazing achievements? Yes! listen, I voted for him. I'm glad. I'm happy with everything he's doing. Don't worry, Trump, I want him to be president one more term after this one, but I don't think they'll allow it. And nice to talk to you. I can catch you tomorrow, my dear Mom. Love you so much. Take care of yourself. I hope to. Hello, Mr. Doodles. Yeah, don't worry. I am very happy with Trump. Thank you. So there was a lot, there was a lot of mixed feelings and stuff. But my side of the family, I walked away. I finally got tired of being told everything that I did. I had to learn this, I had to learn that. Shut up and just look pretty, that's it. You can't have an opinion. I can't do this, I can't do that. Everything was laid out for me. I was very frustrated by it because I have thoughts and I have ideas. And people don't think about that people, as young people grow up, their thoughts might not be completely straightforward, but you're starting to develop thoughts. Though you could say, I'm a young person, I know what I'm doing. You always know you don't. But as you get more mature, you notice that you can see the difference in your thoughts. I mean, as I got older, I used to say, Sandy, you really could handle that a lot better. What were you thinking, young lady? Did you really think that through? I could say this about myself. Okay, you have a good night, Alex. So, I can say that I think, like I said, I wouldn't even vote until I was 30 because I wanted to make sure that I made right decisions when I was voting. I didn't vote at 18, 19, or 20. I said, I want to make sure that the votes that I do are correct and that I want and mature enough to help guide my government. And I did. I voted at 30. I've been voting ever since. Except when my husband was sick. I couldn't vote because I was constantly by his bedside and I had to care for him, so I couldn't during that time. But after he passed, I started voting again. But I didn't think I was smart enough or intelligent enough as a young person. And now that I have more time in, I can see where I made mistakes. I think raising my children, I didn't have enough patience. I think some of the decisions that he and I made, we made the best decisions that we thought at the time. Now, I'm not going to say they were wrong, but we proceeded to make decisions, always hoping it's the best for the family. And my husband was the final one. He made the decisions, but I could give my opinion on something, and he would take it into consideration. So we worked as a team, which is very important, but the final decision was always his. Come into my kitchen, I'm the final decision, okay? And I can see where our maturity was, where mine was lacking. And you go through these stages. See you tomorrow, and Mr. Khan, take care. 3 a.m. in the morning, that's really, I'd be getting up in 1 hour. But these are some of the things that I've learned. So I didn't think I was mature enough. I think I'm more mature now. I can see, it's like watching commercials. I'm going to talk about one that's been coming through my news feed, and I am just like sick of it. You take this now. First, you have to hear these women. They, number one, go to the gym. They spend hours at the gym. They said, oh, I couldn't lose weight. I was at the gym. I tried all these diets. Now, remember, she's going to the gym. And she says, and I learned this little trick of taking this drink. And my waist is 26. Look at me now. And it happened in 2 weeks. Now, this is a person that I can bet 10 to 1 spends hours at the gym every day, not once a week. She also is not eating much, and she's using the drink, and I think she's taking it more than once a day. So I have a feeling that there's more to this than what's going on. Now, I made the drink. I wasted money buying it just to see what was in it anyway. I made the drink, and I saw what it did. And I said, okay, I see what it does. But I said, I'm not going to the gym. So sure, if you take the drink and you work out at the gym 4 or 5 hours a day, and then you take the drink at night, of course you're not going to be hungry throughout the day there. So of course you're going to lose all that weight in a very, very short time. Okay, everybody's left. So I will say, all of you, oh, somebody just came on, 2 of you. I was going to say good night because everybody's talking to me is already, going to bed because it's very, very early in the morning. We've got to get some rest. But anyway, that's how I found out. So if you're going to do that, I could see you losing 5 to 6 inches off your waist and losing a lot of weight in 2 weeks. But if you're not one of those people who are at the gym working 24/7 at it and taking the drink 3 or 4 times a day, I took it, and in a month I went from a 35 waist down to a 30 1/4 inch waist. And I do not go to the gym running around like a maniac. I do my regular housework and things I have to do, and the drink, it's Manjaro. I make my own, and once I found out what the ingredients were, and I know that it does take the weight off, but if you want massive weight loss, you would have to go to the gym. Yeah, I think you would have to go to the gym for a long time, for hours, and work out. Don't eat, but I do know the Manjaro I make cuts the hunger. I mean, when you get up, you're usually hungry. DHH Daily, hi. It cuts the hunger. That I can tell you, it does do that. So if you're not hungry, you're not going to eat. But anyway, those are some of the things that have been going on. Anybody else have any questions about my crazy life? But I do apologize to all of you for not doing lives for a couple of weeks. I think it was about, 3 or 4 weeks I hadn't done it. The weather and all was giving me a problem. I don't understand DHH Daily. I have only, what are you talking about? I have one what? I don't understand. I have one hi. Okay. Hi. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. What's your question? I'm waiting. Okay, I'm waiting for your question, DAH Daily. We're waiting right now, see what he's going to ask. What time is it? Oh yeah, I'm going to be out there in the trash in a bit. How is 80s? You mean the music or the weather? The music I wasn't overly fond of. I sort of like the big band era. I like medieval music. I like the harpsichord. Oh my God. I didn't grow up in the 80s. I'm older than that, older than what you think. I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. The 80s were, let's see, had small children. We had a car accident at that point, and my husband was trying to recover from the car accident, and I was one angry female. How dare they give us a car accident, and I've been 2 weeks from having a baby. Oh, I enjoyed the early 70s, but I enjoyed the early 60s before the civil rights, what they claim is the civil rights movement that has gone backwards, which was known. The 60s were more of a spiritual awakening. People were becoming aware of that there's more to life, and the fact that there's a spirit world that we work with, and that, well, it was difficult. There was, God, I remember when Tanya took me to this Namyo Renge cure thing, where she was afraid to pray in front of a piece of paper, and she wanted me to pray. I had to pray to God before I did that. Drugs came in, but a lot of people don't know that the government brought the drugs in. They brought it in. Yes, I was. I was born in 53. They were against the war, which I agreed. I'm sorry, this is how I feel about it. I didn't like our soldiers going to other countries and fighting for a war. I understand the government. Thank you. I remember, I understand the government, raw minerals and stuff, because everything's built on the raw minerals, okay? I understand that. And I knew that after Germany was divided, that you had the communism on one side and you have democracy on the other. China was pretty low down in the picture at that time. It was more Russia at that time, and spies. We had just gotten over World War II. They weren't happy with Italians in the country. My mother was Italian in Texas, so you can imagine what she went through. And when my parents got a divorce and I got drug up to New York, I remember the civil rights and a lot of disrespect for the police, calling them pigs and all, which is not proper, because without law and order, a society fails. But my thing about the war is that I don't think, well, it goes back to my religious beliefs. What it is I don't mind talking about it. Immigrating, right now they're not. We're kicking immigrants out because we have a lot of illegals from many different countries and they don't have a right to be here. And my thing was, we have no right to go to another country and get involved into their affairs. I was raised as a Christian, as an Anglican, Church of England. We call them Episcopalians in America, but England, they call them that. And the thing is, it talks in the Bible at one of the 10 Commandments. There's a commandment that mentions that you should not covet thy neighbor's wife. And I said, that's very simple, but I think it also could go at government levels and busybodies. When you believe in karma and reincarnation, you realize that what goes on in the family structure, they have to care for. In the 60s, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. After World War II, I wasn't born yet. I was not born yet. I was born in 53. So I figured that if people would mind and quit minding their neighbor's business, and the governments, countries would quit minding the neighbors, the other governments that are around, their other countries around them, and take care of your own business, we wouldn't have wars. But everybody seems to want to get into everyone's business, tell everybody what to do, and invade them. And I said, this is not what the commandments stated. And this is where you could say my philosophy with government should be. I think America should be taking care of Americans and not worried about the rest of the world. I think Russia should mind their own business. I think Ukraine should mind their own business. I think Iran should mind their own business. I think Israel should mind their own business. I think South America should mind their own business. I could go through every country. I just think that they should stay in their borders and mind their own business. Because the people of that country know what they want for a government. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for another country. And it's wrong. It's actually butting your nose where it doesn't belong. And my mother and father, as well as the church, says my freedoms go as far as my nose, and I can't force my beliefs or my way of life on somebody else. If somebody asks for my help or would like my opinion, that's fine. I mean, I just heard from YouTube, and they say, watch these short videos so you can get more subscribers and more people watching and pick up your rates. And I said, no, no, no. I'm not here to get an audience that just wants flashing lights and music and all. I said, I'm doing this to help people learn how to cook. I'm going at my own pace that I am comfortable with. So I don't follow the regular grain of people that want to make a lot on it. I've been asked, am I making money off YouTube? No, I haven't made anything, but I give it all out. I want, because of the way I believe, this is why the YouTube is up, because a principal asked me to come to the school and teach the little girls about nutrition and about how to cook. And I told her I couldn't do that. I said, I'm sorry, but I cannot do that because I do not have a teaching degree. I cannot walk there and do that. I can be busted. So I told my sons, and they helped me set up the YouTube channel, and I've been doing it ever since. Okay? That's how it works. But that's how I perceive it. I think people should mind their own business. Be respectful of each other. I mean, don't get angry at somebody because they bump you. Just say, excuse me, or I'm sorry. It doesn't hurt to be respectful in that aspect. But my philosophy is people should mind their own business. Really should. But I'm not on the world market. Remember, I'm just a person here in a house taking care of my business. And I don't bother my neighbors, but if I see them crying down the street, or, you know, they've lost a pet or something, I'll try to help them, you know, the best I can. I might not be the greatest, but I try. If that helps you to understand. But how old are you, DHH Daily, if you don't know about the 60s and stuff? You must be very young. Maybe 30? Maybe 40? Yeah, because 40 would put you, yeah, that put you in the 80s, so you would miss that. 50s, you go back 20, yeah, you'd be in the 70s, yeah, I think you're younger than that. Okay, so is there anything else you guys would like to know? When I say guys, I should say, I mean male and female, but I always say guys. That was a big thing in the 60s. Hey guys. Instead of saying hello, ladies and gentlemen, you say hey guys. We cut it short. I've almost been on for an hour. I don't want to take care of that. GTO Insight? Hi, Scott. What did you just delete? I started reading it and you deleted it so fast I didn't even barely get one. Thank you, GTO. Well, he's the only one who can watch me. Before I would say my husband would be watching over me, but he's watching over me now. I depend upon God a lot in my life. I thought you were young because you were asking about the 60s, 70s, so I started going back. So you were born in the 1990s. 96? Thank you. Tunich dude? God, 29. When I was 29, I had 2 small children. Oh, from what I can gather, you can live up to 120 years if you're healthy. Gee, just think about it. If I live for another 48 years healthy and I keep this YouTube channel up, just think of how old you would be. You'd be like 70 something. That'd be over. I don't want to live to 120. Dang, that's a long time to live. I wouldn't want to be in a nursing home either. That's a scary thought. No, I want to keep my independence. So I'll just keep on going, keep my wits about me. That's something you have to watch out for. Oh, God. That's what I'm worried about here in New York. We have a socialist. He wants to make groceries government controlled. The more the government takes away our freedoms, the more it's becoming a socialist country. That ain't buying with me. Telling me what I can buy, it's my money, I'll do what I want with it. And so that's what I'm worried about, but I am definitely not voting, and not for that idiot. I would not give him the time of day. Matter of fact, if he gets thrown out of the country, I'd be quite happy. Trying to bring his socialist ways here. Now, see, that's something. If you're living in a socialist country and you have socialist ideas and you're comfortable with the socialist ideas, why bring it over here? Stay where you're at. You're happy with that kind of government. If you have a communist country and you're happy with it, don't come here and take your communistic ways and tell us how to run ours. My experiences are in my stories of things that I have learned. And I talk about it. I talk about the time I almost burnt the house down. Oh, my mother almost killed me. Man, that was the first time I did not think I was going to live. Because I knew my mother had a temper and she looked at me. All because of Daffy Duck. If Daffy Duck wasn't on, I wouldn't have gone and turned the grease on, left the kitchen, and watched cartoons for 30 minutes. I mean, the whole kitchen was on fire. And the past is not gone. Another thing, men, you must remember, the past is going to bite you on your ass, as they say. It always comes back around. Always comes back around. Your past, you cannot walk away from it. You can say it's in the past, but you have to be young to be saying that because you don't have the past. But your past is going to make you what you are today. And when today becomes the past, and a lot of days become the past, it's going to change you from what you are. That's right. You learn, so you evolve as a person. You either evolve as a better person or as a worse person. This is school for me. Living on earth is school right now. I'm in school. All of us are on school right now. When we leave this earth, we're graded. And we pray that our grades are very good. That's why we have good times and we have bad times. You have the bad times, you have a lesson you have to learn. And that's how I look at it. So right now I know I'm in school. Am I graduating? When I'm called home, I'll know. So, anything else? Oh, when I'm having a bad time, I cannot cook because I'm crying. When I have a bad time, I am crying and I am really just frustrated all the way around. And you can see it in my eyes. I can put a smile on, but you'll see it in these eyes. So I try to avoid being at that point. Yeah, really. When I have a bad time, I cry. It's just like, I can't deal with this. I can't. I'll go in my room and close the door. Don't talk to me. Just stay away from me. Let me get this out of my system. And sometimes I have to deal with some people I really don't want to deal with. They give me a hard time. Every time I have an idea, they slap it down. And I'm paying you for this? No, 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 no. You know, that's how I am. So, you learn. So anything that I have learned will not be the way you learn it. The experiences you go through, learn from them, move forward from them, be better. Do not carry hate or grudges or negative energy. Always forgive somebody and move forward. Oh, me and technology don't get along. Give me a library card and let me go get a book. How did I meet my husband? Okay. I told my mother that the man I'm going to marry is coming to my small little town. Okay. And I said, he's going to take me away. He's going to take me to New York, Mommy. And so she started taking me everywhere she went in town. She said, is he going to be here? And I said, yes, he's coming for me. I met him at the wonderful world of art. It was a place my mother took me to. It was on the, let's see. All right, in Beeville, I have to describe Beeville. We have 3 sections of town. Remember, we're talking racism, so you have to understand when I'm talking, this is racism at the time, it's not today. You had the blacks here, you had the Mexicans here, and the whites were in the middle, okay? This was more towards the black side of town, and it was called the Wonderful World of Art. And some sailors, or servicemen if you wish, bought it, and it was a place where young people could come and express their art and talk and their political points to help them, you know, learn. And my mother took me there, being very shy that I am. I usually have I was yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and that was it. And this man walks up to me, and he says, what do you want? And my mother said, 2 Cokes. And I look at him, and this is exactly what came out of my mouth. My knight in shining armor. He looked at himself. He said 2 Cokes, right? And that was it. So I chased him all over the United States. I had to find family wherever he was. I chased him. I told him I'm 14. He said 14 will get me 20. Then when I turned 15, I said, I'm 15. He said, that'll still get me 20. I turned 16. He said, 16 will still get me 20. And I said, but I'm 17 now. He said, that will still get me 20. I'm 18. He said, I don't believe you. I had to show him my driver's license. I'm really 18 years old. What he meant when he was saying 20 years would be 20 years in the brig, if you're military, if you date a minor. And I waited for him, and I waited for him, and I waited for him, and he still couldn't believe that because I looked so young for my age, it really bothered him. And finally, he took notice. But before he was noticing me, but he still was holding off at a distance. And he told me, I'm going to go back into the service, Sandy, but we could be friends. I ran, because I was helping him with the laundry. I ran out of the laundry room, got into the Super Bee, slammed and locked the door and rolled the windows up. And I'm crying. And he said, he wanted me to roll down the window. I said, roll down the window. He said, roll down the window. Nope, I am not rolling down that window. He was going to break the car door. I had to open the car door, but I didn't open the window. He still got to see me. He said, why are you crying? I said, I can't tell you. He said, what can't you tell me? I said, I can't tell you. You got to say it. He said, what do I got to say? And I said, I can't tell you. You have to say it before I can say it, because I can't say it because I'm a lady, and you can't say that because ladies don't say it first. He said, what is it that I'm supposed to say? I said, you should know what you have to say. If you can't tell me, if you can't say it, then I can't say it. He said, I promise, as soon as you tell me, I'll forget it. And I said, no, you won't. He said, yes, I will. I promise, Sandy, I swear on my life, I'll forget it. So I told him, I loved him before I met him. I loved him before he was born, and I love him to this day. He grabbed me. He said, I'm never going to forget those words. I said, you promised you'd forget those. He said, oh, I am not forgetting these words, and that was it. Clock is ticking, Grandma. You better be quick. 1 second closer to rip each second. Is he the man? Yeah, he was the man that I was looking for. Can you ever read? Sure, I can read. It was a wonderful life. Oh, we're talking about my meeting my husband. And that's some of the things that we went through. Like every day, I told him before he went to work, I said, I love you. And he said, okay. And he finally, after 6 months of this, and when he came in, I greeted him with a big hug. And before he went to work, he always got, I love you, and a kiss and a hug for me. And he finally, after 6 months of going through this every day, he said, what is wrong with you? You know I love you. I'm here with you. You're pregnant with my child. I said, because I never know if you're coming home. You could have an accident. Something could happen. So I want you to know when you leave the house how I feel. And then I'm happy when you come back home. Okay? Oh, yes. Still am very much. When you love somebody and they die, the love does not stop. Let me tell you that. It does not stop. It lives and continues. Because God is love, and you love somebody, the love is there even though they're gone. I have people that I love that have been angry with me. They don't talk to me anymore, but I still love them. That's right. It cannot stop. Love. If it stops when they die and you don't love them anymore, then there was never any love there. It was just a sexual union that you had. Oh, I know they're not gone. They don't have a body, but they're not far away. Because that's what happens when you die. You just drop the body and you're still alive. It's just that they can't see you. It's only because they get to know the body. Now, Scott, since you and Jerry and D.H.H. Daly are the only ones who seem to be talking right now, to everybody else who's quiet listening to me, I'm going to go now because I got to go take care of that trash because they have me dividing it here, put it here, sort this out, do that, rope this, do that, and I've got some work to do out there, okay? Because I want to close my day down. So listen, all of you take care, okay? I want you to have a wonderful week, and I pray nothing breaks. Please don't break. Anything breaks, you're not going to see me next week. But maybe next Wednesday if nothing breaks, no more appliances break or go down, I'll be fine and I'll see you next week, okay? But I want you to take care and enjoy the week. Bye-bye.